Ziggy's giving me nada. Ugh. Just having this thing in my mouth for 10 seconds gives me nausea. I gotta tell you, it's worth it though. So today's poem is a tribute, and I've been pretty tore up all day. I'm gonna be really honest, I gotta say. It's got me in my heart feels. This was the closest thing I could find to a cigar at like 9 o'clock at night. Went to the gas station, and the lady was like, we got this, loving her job, clearly. And I said, I don't smoke. I'm doing it for a poem, but I need like as close as you can get me to like a big Hollywood, man who smokes a cigar. And this is what she gave me. Whoo! It's not my thing. But he talked through the whole show like this. Ziggy's giving me nada. Yeah. And my hand is going to smell like this. Whatever you call it. Swisher sweet thing. Perhaps for days. But it's worth it. It's worth it. So, if you haven't guessed who I am yet, I am Al from Quantum Leap. And this is a tribute to Dean Stockwell, who just passed away. And I know I don't know him. I know he is a celebrity unknown to me out in the ether of Hollywood. Actually, I believe he lived in Taos for a long portion of his life. With his wife and his kids. But I'm sad, kids. I'm sad. He was one of those, and I've spoken to this before when I talked about Norm Macdonald, who I did actually meet and have a lovely conversation with. But there are certain celebrities who you just feel connected to, and you can't explain why, but you feel like they're family. And when they die, you cry, and you feel it in your soul. And you feel like something's missing from the world. And you feel like time is speeding up, and you can't control it. Yeah. It's hard. It's hard to lose people who can contribute goodness to this world, even if they're not in your circle. It still hurts because goodness is missing in so many areas, corners, capacities. That when people who really put it out there leave us, it seems like there's a hole, there's a void. So I enjoyed the show Quantum Leap for the first time, when I was about 6 or 7 years old. Watched the entire series through. Then I rediscovered it in high school. Watched the whole series through. Then I rediscovered it in my 20s. Watched the whole series through. Then I showed it to my boyfriend. Watched the whole series through. And I'm still not sick of it. I still, when there's nothing else on, there's this great, really weird cable channel called Comet, and they play weird sci-fi stuff. And when they have Quantum Leap on, I'll still tune into it, even though I have gone through it so many times. So, one way that I'm really lucky in my life is that I have too many Al-inspired outfits to choose from. And I realized, thumbing through my immense wardrobe, that he was a big inspiration to me, I think, unknowingly. I have a really big tie collection, and I just got to show you, I'm getting a tiny bit nauseated in these glasses. Even though I did find him wearing a very similar pair in a picture online. And he was really into cigars, personally. Sadly, the closest thing I could find to the gummy bear hand link was my Star Trek phaser from when I was Deanna Troi. If anybody wants to chip in, they make replicas online for just a cool, easy $600. No big deal. I want one so bad, though. There's like a props replica place that makes them, that makes the weird noises. And gosh, I wish I could have one of my very own. But that was the closest thing that I had to the hand link, unfortunately. But what I did have abundantly, this represents a few of maybe like, I don't know, 100. But I chose this one. It was the most Al-ish of the bunch. Just those patterns. If you know anything about Al, if you know, then you know. But there was an outfit inspired with some like really crazy yellow silk pants that kind of went with this one. This one certainly seemed like Al would wear the heck out of that bad boy. This, I in fact feel like I saw him in an episode wear a tie just like this. And this really cool coat is a cool company my mom represented at her shop back in the 90s called Fit to be Tied. And it's reversible, and I just love it. It's a wild ride, Fit to be Tied. So, yeah, I feel like I saw him in an episode wearing a tie just like this. And this one, snazzy, why be classy when you can be sassy? Al quotes. This one definitely seemed like one that he would wear. It's like a stamped, textured kind of leather. Oh, yes. Living for pleasure. That was Al's character. Oh, and then there's another one hiding in here that I think he would absolutely wear with, like, he liked to wear, like, a lot of nice, like, burnt orange colors and golds. He was really into those bold gold colors. But the jacket I chose, he just had such a great collection of shiny jackets. And I had, in fact, like a Space Explorer silver and blue crazy shiny jacket that I wore all through high school until it literally disintegrated. And it was very much Al inspired. I may slip out of it though because I'm just feeling like this polka dot, like you get the shiny jacket, you're with me on the shiny jacket, but I do feel like this look is just so Al with the rolled up sleeves showing the contrasting pattern. I mean, come on. I'm in it now. I'm absolutely in it. And before his passing, I always thought like this is one of my dream Halloween costumes. So maybe next year I'm just going to have to bust it out. Oh, good thing I thought of this. I'm gathering all these props. Be patient with me, guys. I got to show you the most important props. I can't even believe my own foolishness that I could possibly forget it. Good thing it's in this room. Stick with me, poetry lovers. I'm coming back to you presently. Don't stress. I'm right here. I'm doing my best. Got too many props, too many ties, too many vests. And so I decided to do my tribute here in front of my shiny solar system and cool motion crystals because that just seemed very quantum and very inspired. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm sad. There he is. So, style icon, man I was in love with. I mean, what am I saying? Am in love with most of my life. But there's Al, and I feel like we were buds, you know? I really do. I feel that way. I feel such a connection to him that my sadness is pretty palpable right now that he went ahead and left us and took that leap. But these were fan booklets that I bought. I got one for my boo and I because I made him such a fan. Got him hooked. And so this is like the Quantum Leap like user manual handbook. And it's really just a blank notebook that you can write in, but it's supposed to look like a prop they use in the show where they, learn the ins and outs of quantum leaping, but there he is with his cigar. And just a really great performer, and something about him just made me feel like we were friends. And I bought us these really cool Project Quantum Leap in the accelerator. Yeah, the Stardust. What is the Stallions Gate? Oh, right, yeah, Stallions Gate, New Mexico, right, where Project Quantum Leap took place. So they're out there in the desert of New Mexico. And I just haven't, found the right garment, the proper worthy garment to put these on, but I got us each one, and I'm really happy I did, because whenever somebody passes away, I feel like their memorabilia goes up like tenfold in price. So really happy I got these, and they're copyright, trademark, 1990, Universal Studios, all rights reserved. So real deal here, made back in the day. Phew, glad I remembered that. I would have been kicking myself for weeks had I forgotten those key props. So props to me for remembering the props. Oh, apparently this is holding up my we'll go down here and then we'll prop me back up. I also brought this thing because I just felt like it was quite quantum. You've seen it before. I guess it doesn't, it doesn't look as cool in the light. It looks much cooler in the dark. Perhaps I'll end it on this and try to get my boo in here to, whoa, spiraling out of control. Try to get my boo in here to do the lights, and I'll end it on that. But in the meantime, let's do what we came here for, shall we? The poetry. So how were you propping this up before and now you refuse to? Okay, here we go. We're in it, you guys. We're in the project. And actually, this hat also made me feel quite owlish, but it belongs to a famous person, a real one. Belonged, now it belongs to me. Earned, interestingly. But if you want to hear that story, you'll have to buy the memoir, kids. You'll have to buy the memoir. So I'm feeling very owlish right now. The smell of this is intolerable, but I'm doing it for you, Dean. So this is my poem that is a tribute. And here it is. It's called Al or Dean Would Have Been a Dream Pal. This Sunday, we lost one of my favorite actors, Dean Stockwell. Hearing the news today, my eyes welled with tears. We can hold people very dear that we never ever met. When it comes to memorable characters, Dean carved out many that are impossible to forget. His light set into the great hereafter, after he delivered style, bravado, and cause for tears and laughter for over 70 years as a stellar performer. He was an undeniable charmer and left a real mark on me and so many others. On my favorite show, he covers Sam's behind as he finds himself leaping from life to life, trying to make mistakes of the past right. His character, Albert Calavici, or Al, as those who grew to love him fondly, provides insight and guidance to Sam, who's sometimes a man and sometimes a woman, and with the help of Ziggy, a supercomputer, and Gushy, a scientist who is pushy and has bad breath, they try to keep Sam from getting swept into all manner of possible dangers. He's given tasks to be the rearranger of all the flaws in history, and his many victories are really only achieved because Al believes in him so deeply and fights for him to complete these seemingly impossible tasks. Al lacks what we would call today filters, and makes a lot of comments about women that could, in our modern world, be seen as off-kilter or in poor taste. But I think he just appreciates a smoking hot body and a beautiful face and doesn't waste time expressing it. His interaction on the show with Dr. Ruth, trying to describe, well, tits, hits the nail on the head. He goes red in the face, saying, she's got great casabas. Dr. Ruth presses. What are these casabas? I can't do Dr. Ruth right now. I'm Dr. Ruth. This is my voice, and I'm Dr. Ruth. Dr. Ruth. It's hard. It's being put on the spot. I've got to listen to her first. Al replies, as many guys would if it wouldn't be easily misunderstood. Well, melons. Dr. Ruth pushes. Al fumbles, realizing she's testing him. Hoo-haws? Honkers. Hooters? Headlights? Tatas. Teeters. Tweeters? Tom-toms. Tetons? Dr. Ruth looks at him as if to say, come on, those are all wrong. Say it, she insists. He twists his hands, seeming more nervous than ever. She's not letting him get away with just being clever. I'm trying to say it, he says, flustered. He musters another attempt. Meatballs, mangoes, cream pies, cupcakes, bangers, bouncers, balloonbas. Al, she says sternly, showing him he's being a real goomba. He's in awe of her power and tries again. Bazongas. Breasts! I said it! He's finally found the actual word in his nervous fit. Now that was a funny bit. I admit that I relate to Al's character a lot. His undiluted thoughts always made me feel like I just got him in a lot of ways. When my friends go to do anything somewhat crazy, I often say, don't do anything I wouldn't do. It's a short list. I didn't realize until just recently, watching Quantum Leap for maybe the 5th time all the way through, that this line was likely inspired by Al, who grew on me even as a young kid. Al tries to rid Sam of some of his nerves and tells him, don't do anything I wouldn't do, and if you do, take pictures. He was a mixture of an old vaudeville character who fills the room and a teacher who pushes the envelope just enough to get you to pay attention rather than staring out the window like a dope. Al was that unconventional voice of hope, helping Sam to cope with immense pressures. Not to mention, he was an impeccable dresser. His fashion made all the lesser styles on TV seem utterly forgettable. He was devoted so completely to all of his roles and would never settle for a so-so presentation in anything he was cast in. It brought a grin to my face through my tears to read a description of Dean from his co-star Scott Bakula, who played Sam on the brilliant sci-fi show Quantum Leap. He said, Dean would always make a grand entrance into the soundstage with a dramatic sweep rather than a boring shuffle. The smell of his cigar smoke preceded him and was less than subtle. As Scott conveyed it, he bellowed to the cast and crew with an enthusiastic lift of his brow, shouting, "The fun starts now!" I hope he's taken a great big bow in heaven. The supremely talented Dean acted alongside Gene Kelly when he was only 7. And by age 11, he landed the titular role that stripped the horrors of war and judgment bare in a movie that blew my mind, The Boy with the Green Hair. He said his instant fame scared and intimidated him, but he would not allow it to have the grim impact it had on so many child actors. After that experience, which was, at the time, very unique, Scott Bakula said he always did his best to keep child actors on the set of Quantum Leap safe and would take extra measures to make sure their rights and feelings were better than they would be on any other set. Scott said they became close just as soon as they met, and of Dean, he said, quote, "He made me a better human being." I can only hope that somehow in this layered universe he's seeing the response down here on Earth, and that he knows what his life in this realm was worth to so many. He had talent aplenty, and I just learned today after his passing that he made passionate art involving collage, like me. He blended images and feelings together brilliantly. Today I read an article about this truly remarkable art of his, and the interviewer describes taking in the captivating energy of his pieces. He says, I blurted out, "I think your art impacts me even more than your acting, and Dean's response will be impacting me for some time." That's me speaking. Dean's response will be impacting me for some time. "That's good," he said, without blinking. "It should." After he withstood a career that seemed to taper off and come back many times, he reflected on keeping a sound mind through the strange experiences of having the spotlight thrust upon him in childhood. He said, "I'm sure most of you have read stories about people who have started as children and ended up in very difficult lives and bad consequences. It's not the easiest life in the world, but then no life is easy." The man who flawlessly portrayed Albert Calavici, one of my favorite characters of all time, seems to have been about as admirable of a man as you can find. He didn't let the industry grind down his enthusiasm or make him unkind. I've seen every episode of Quantum Leap at least 4 or 5 times, and whenever Sam was in a bind, which was basically every episode, you could tell that the love and support Al showed him was also a love that shone from within Dean Stockwell himself. He didn't amass the kind of exorbitant wealth that many stars of the screen seem to have today, but he was a rich man in so many other ways. He got to play opposite so many greats like Gregory Peck, Frank Sinatra, Dennis Hopper, and Neil Young, who sung his heart out on the album After the Gold Rush, which was inspired by a screenplay Stockwell wrote and was unable to get produced. Young also used Dean's visual art skills, asking him to deliver the album cover art for his From the Heart, No Frills album, American Stars and Bars. And speaking of stars, Dean was lucky enough to get one on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. He stayed sane and grounded even though it wouldn't have been altogether unfounded for him to develop an ego. He was so good at what he did that he was one of only 3 actors ever to win Best Actor at the Cannes Festival. The impact he had on my own life was truly inestimable. I'm full of sadness tonight to say goodbye to such a shining light. But time is something we simply cannot fight against. I can't help but have a sense that, much like Sam stepped into the Project Accelerator too soon and got swept away never to return home, Dean left us too soon as well. But I'm comforted by something his character said. If we knew the unknown wouldn't be the unknown. So true. He seems like the kind of person who actually grew from his challenges and struggles to exist at his best. In that article about his art, the writer asked him about his process, and Dean described it as utterly random, inspired by the moment he's in. The author references a piece of astronauts trying to swim, seemingly drowning in a current of chaos and energies. To me, that's what being an actor can sometimes be. His very first film, The Boy with the Green Hair, allowed me to see the world so differently. It seems as relevant now as it was then. The green hair lends itself as a metaphor for being judged and singled out. The boy soon learns that being noticed often means people will shout at you with their pent-up hate. The boy doesn't understand why the fate of so many nations is becoming corrupt. He says sadly of the world around him gone mad. But they don't know that. They think everybody has to get killed. The world doesn't have to be blown up. I hope someday we will collectively say of this repetitive way of things, enough! If only we could. I try to manifest a world where we all exist at our best. I can hear Al hopefully stating, "Ziggy says the odds are real good." Ziggy says the odds are real good. Let's hope so. So, my sources, as I always like to cite, that article about his beautiful artwork. Please look it up. It's amazing. Wish I could afford some. It's from Taos, Taos, taos.org/Dean dash Stockwell. And the article is called An Afternoon with Dean Stockwell. The portraits were by Paul O'Connor in the article. I think that's who wrote it, but yeah, that's the article. An Afternoon with Dean Stockwell. I also got some sources from Variety.com. An article called Dean Stockwell, Quantum Leap Star Dies at 85 by Carmel Dagan and Patrick Frater. Another article, gosh, I'm not sure where this one is from, but another article was Dean Stockwell, Star of Quantum Leap and Dune, Dead at 55 by Rob Bailey Milado. Millado. A funny quote that I didn't weave into my poem, but I just thought was so Al that I looked up is he says, because he's like really into the ladies. He's always checking out the ladies, but in the show he only has one true love, which is like beautiful to see somebody who's just like such a card and like always, commenting on the lovely ladies passing by, but he is really truly only in love with one woman continually. But he says, there are 5 stages of love. The first is denial, then the second is sex, then there's acceptance, then there's divorce, and then there's more sex, if you're lucky. So Al. And then I also really like the one he says, I'm sorry, what do you expect a hologram to do? Knock? Love it, love it, love it. So I got some of my Al quotes from www.classictv.info. Classic TV, Quantum Leap quotes. And of course, why be classy when you can be sassy? Come on, it's so obvious. It's like, is there even a choice? Why be classy when you can be sassy? So, yeah, what a loss. I just feel pretty sad about it. But I'm obviously on the fan club. But you can't just jump into a portal and change the past. And that's the rub. It just exists. And so you gotta make it last. Hey, Boo? Yeah. Could you come in here for a second? So I guess we're just going to end it on some cool flashy lights because that just feels like it makes sense. I don't have a gummy bear hand link. So if you could just switch that off and then switch the lights off. And we're just going to we're going to end it on some crazy flashy lights because I just feel like that's how we gotta end it. I don't know. Just feels right. So you'll be missed, Dean. And sending this cosmic beam your way to say that you were really loved and you are really loved and you had an impact on me in a big, big way. Hope you can, there you go. You can get little glimpses of my cool Quantum Leap patch. But thanks for catching this one if you caught it. And there'll be more if you didn't. I'll toss you another one. But thanks, Dean. You're a dream companion, even to those of us who never had the pleasure of really meeting you. You helped us through some of the hard stuff. So we'll end it on that. Quantum occurrences. The blur of the universe. Poetry and verse. Write it. Create it. This is the moment. Take it.